Political Parties in America by Christopher McCutcheon. America, land of the free, home of the Republicans and Democrats. We Americans live in a nation that's ruled by two parties. Yes, there are third parties around, but they don't have nearly as much power as the two big ones. Those two big ones are the liberal Democrats and the conservative Republicans. But things have not always been this way. Our young nation has gone through 6 major party shifts since its humble beginnings in the 1790s. Meanings behind parties have changed, huge powerhouses have been crushed, and third parties have risen and become more powerful, all of it being a part of the natural political process. So who are these conservatives and liberals? What does that even mean? Which one is a Republican and which one is a Democrat? Who leads these people, and what is the purpose of these political parties? Well, the Republicans are the more conservative of the two. They are commonly known as the Grand Old Party, or GOP, and they are represented by an elephant and the color red. The philosophy of the Republicans is that our government's role in the country should be a small conservative one. This means that the government would stay mostly out of the affairs of its people by not overstepping its bounds, while also keeping order in the nation. On the political spectrum, their beliefs tend to stem from the far right of conservatism to a twinge from the middle. The Republican Party chairman is Michael Steele of Maryland. And next are the Democrats, the more liberal of the two. While they don't have a fancy nickname like the Republicans, they do still have representation from an animal, a donkey, and a representative color, blue. The philosophy of the Democrats is that our government's role in the country should be a larger, more liberal one. This means that the people of a nation will be taken care of by the government through welfare programs and such, requiring less of a rugged individualist stance than the Republicans. And on the political spectrum, their beliefs tend to stem from the far left of liberalism to the left of the moderate middle. The Democratic Party chairman is Tim Kaine of Virginia. The Democrats and Republicans are the only major parties in our democracy, meaning we live in a two-party system. This social setup has worked well for our country for the past 200 years, most likely because of our presidential democracy. Though most other democracies in the world are made up of multi-party systems, meaning there are 3 or more parties competing for elected offices. These multi-party systems are typically found in parliamentary democracies across Europe. Now, the pro of having a two-party system versus a multi-party system is that there is less of a chance of having party fragmentation, which means there will be less of a chance of a split-ticket voting, usually meaning an electoral upset. While the con is not everybody's beliefs are represented because of the lack of diversity in political stances. Unfortunately, in our two-party system, we the people are forced to take one of 2 sides of an issue if we want to be heard, the liberal side or the conservative side. This is the fault of having a two-party system, for if we choose to join a third party, chances are we would not have fair governmental representation, and therefore our voices would be drowned out by the bellowing major parties. Third parties also play a much bigger role in multi-party systems than in two-party systems. In multi-party systems, political parties create coalitions to assure a victory in elections, meaning they band together to create a stronger party, which will pull in more voters for their cause. While in our American two-party system, third parties rarely make a difference in national elections. Here, they mostly are one-issue parties that focus on a single major point, though there have been elections in the past that have been affected by a large pool of voters voting for a third-party candidate. For example, when Ross Perot got about 11% of the votes in the 1992 presidential election, he caused George Bush Sr. to lose the election to Bill Clinton, which ended the stranglehold the Republicans had on the executive branch for many years preceding. Similar situations happened in 2000 with Al Gore losing to George W. Bush, and in 1912 with Teddy Roosevelt splitting the ticket, causing Woodrow Wilson to win the election. So while third parties are not the powerhouses that the Democrats and Republicans are, they are essential in a democracy to forego shifts in power and to bring up issues that are not being handled by the major parties. Now that you know all about political parties, you should know just what purpose they serve. Political parties are sort of like factions, which are groups of individuals with like-minded philosophies with the same common goal in mind. These people band together because they know the more people that there are that band together for a cause, there's a better chance of getting what you want. So when these factions work together, They try to accomplish their goals by getting elected officials into offices at the county, state, and national levels. Once in office, their party's representative pushes an agenda that represents the beliefs of that party, bringing it all full circle. Without political parties, our government would not be able to run efficiently. So there you have it. Now you know the basics of the political party system in America and then some. Hopefully, with this information, you'll have a greater understanding of why it's so important to create factions to achieve your goals in these modern American times.
'Cause you are the government. You are